Hey everybody. Well, this is part one of another build series that I'm going to be doing, and this is going to be of the Star Trek The Next Generation Enterprise D. Now, this kit comes from Hero Collector and Eaglemoss, and you've seen me show some die-cast metal Eaglemoss ships in the past, but this one here is a model kit you build, and it is huge. It is a huge model. It is 27.5 inches long when you build it, when it's complete, and oh my gosh, this is going to be a beast of a build, but it's going to be really fun. So just like the R2D2 model that I'm building, that other series of videos I'm doing, this is a subscription-based kit where they send you parts every month. So they send you the first two sets of parts. I think it was only $5 to get started with this. But then every month after that, it's going to be about $65 a month, and they'll send you four sets of parts every month. And this kit has 120 sets of parts, so it's going to take about 2.5 years to build it. But thankfully, I think they are offering ways to bump that up a little bit quicker. You'll get a discount, but you can buy the parts, quicker, like in a bulk kind of situation. Now you get these things to kind of start things off. Kind of talks about the model. The model's going to be fully lit when you're done. The windows are going to light up. The main sensor deflector there is going to end up lighting up as well. Also the engine nacelles are going to light up too. So you're going to build this whole thing, and it's going to be pretty amazing when it's built. The size of it is just mind-blowing, honestly. I mean, when you see it in person, at least the parts. Now they talk about the models that were used in the show. There was three of them. There was a 6-foot model, a 4-foot model, and I think the other one was a 2-foot model. And this kit that you're going to put together is a mixture of all of those ships. So it's not specific to any one model. This kit will also have a removable saucer, which is pretty interesting that they decided to do that. And here you can see pictures of probably the prototype. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty amazing build. Now, just like the other kit of the R2D2, this comes with a catalog, or I guess like a magazine. And I'm not going to go through these, through each one of these builds. I'll just quickly thumb through these because I think most people are going to be interested in the build itself. But here you can see the parts that stages 1 and 2 come with. These are the instructions on how to put everything together. It looks pretty straightforward, just like the R2D2 kit. And let me see here. Yeah, you can see all this going on in here. And then there's some kind of drawings about how the Enterprise was designed and early concepts of it. And yeah, it's pretty neat. So it's actually got some pretty interesting information. Something about the bridge on that page there. So yeah, like I said, I'm just going to kind of flip through these just so that you can see what comes with these. This one's pretty thick compared to the R2D2 one. Okay, so let me show you the first two sets of parts that you get, because they're pretty nice. I also wanted to show you that they do provide this massive poster that's a life-size representation of the model when you're done. I mean, this thing is so huge. I have no idea where I'm going to put it, but as you can see by the tape measure there, it's about 27.5 inches long, and I think it was, let me see, how wide was it? I can't remember. Looks like it's, I got this just right. Looks like it's about 20 inches wide. Man, this thing's going to be a monster. Yeah, it's pretty cool that they provide a poster. It kind of gives you an idea of how big this thing's really going to be. Okay, so these are the first two stages of parts. So they're called stages. So this is stage 1 and stage 2 here. So we're going to be starting on building the bridge right here. And there's a lot of really cool parts in here. It looks really great. They have quite a bit of stuff in here. And then the second part, we're going to be building one of the nacelles, as you can see here. And that nacelle is big. It's bigger than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, seeing it in person is kind of making me realize just how big this is going to be. It's going to be a monster. Okay, so let's start with stage 1, and I'll show you what's inside all of there. Okay, so stage number 1 here has quite a few parts to it, actually. Looks like we got some window pieces, the ring that goes around the bridge. The hardware is all included, this different size of screws. There is some wiring. They even give you a nice, looks like a very nice screwdriver there, actually. And here's some of the plastic. I think these are plastic, but I know this one's metal. And yeah, I mean, this is pretty cool. And then there's some of the lifeboats too. All right, so let's get started with building this thing. Okay, so this is what we're going to be starting off with. We're going to start building the very top of the bridge here. Now these screws are labeled AP, CM, and CP. So the P stands for plastic. These are the screws that you'll be using it for plastic parts, and M stands for metal, and you'll be using those for the metal parts. So for this section, we're going to be using the AP screws. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this bridge section, and by the way, see that nice Aztecing and pattern that they got on there? It looks really cool, and I like that it's not overly done. Looks really good. So here's the top of the bridge. You can see it's just going to fit right in here. And it fits in there beautifully. And then 2 AP screws go in to hold that together, so let me get those put on. Alright, so this is what it looks like when you're done placing that piece on. Now, there are some people already modifying this kit. They're drilling a hole right here where the bridge dome is to make that light up. I'm going to try not to do many modifications on this. I just really want to try to build it the way it was intended. And also, it would be just my luck that I tried to drill that out and I screw it up. And I mean, you know, how do you get a replacement piece like this? I'm sure you can call Eaglemoss and try, but I don't want to risk it. So now the next step here is we take this LED, and you have to get the one with the yellow and white wires. And there's a little, see that little nub right there? That is where you put the LED, and it fits right in between the wires like that. Okay, and then the next piece you're going to need is this one. And this is really cool. This is actually a clear piece, and it has a silver on one side which reflects the light. And you'll notice that little spot right here, that's where the LED goes. And these are actually the windows. So let's go ahead and put this in, and got to make sure you get it in there so that the LED fits right. And then see how the windows fit right in here like that? Look how cool that looks. All right, and then we just bend this way according to the instructions. All right, and then this is the next one that's attached to, so it's the red and black wires. And once again, you got a little nub right here, and that's where you're going to put this LED. That nub goes in between the wires. All right, and then you're going to need this piece right here. This is another one of these cool window pieces. All right, and once again, the LED is going to fit inside that little spot right there. So you got to make sure you get it in there just right. Not an easy task to do sometimes. All right, looks like we got this wire caught underneath, so let's pull this out. All right, and let's make sure those windows are where they're supposed to be. Not sure those are in all the way. See if this LED is where it's supposed to be right there. Should be as snug as that one. That means this isn't in correctly. Ah, there, I think I just got it. No? Oh, I see it's sliding completely out. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, so you can see when the windows fit all the way up like that. All right, so let me get on to the next spot. Okay, so this is the next part that we're going to use. And once again, if I can get the light on it, see that wonderful paint job that they did on it? That looks so good. All right, so now this piece that we just were working on, these wires have to go through right there. Let's try to get that through like that. All right, and then this piece is going to go on top of this. If I can get a grip of it. Okay. And let me see if I got it on there right. Looks like it's not quite fitted on there. Okay, I think that's it right there. Perfect. All right, so now 2 AP screws are what holds that on, so let me get those put on. All right, so that's what that looks like when it's all done. So we're going to set this aside for now. Now, this is the next part, and this is a metal piece, and it's got some heft. You can hear that it's metal like that. Once again, some beautiful paint work. See, like that right here? Look at that. That looks absolutely amazing. Look at, there's a little bit of like a greenish teal kind of color on there. Now, this is the part that's caused a lot of contention with people, and I have to agree. These things here, I always thought these were windows, but they're actually called flush vents. And apparently on the filming models, they don't light up. But oddly enough, when you're building this, they're going to have you put a clear piece in here and put a bulb in there, and it's going to light this one up. And that's fine if they lit up. I think that would actually look cool, even if it's not accurate. But on this one, you're going to be using this piece right here. And it looks just like the clear piece, but for some reason they have you put a black piece in there, and there's no light that goes in there. Yet, oddly enough, there is a space for a light to go in here, as you can see on here. That's where the LED goes. And so why would they have you, first of all, why would they have you light them up if they don't light up? And then if they do light up, why would they only have one and not the other? So what some people are doing is they're painting this piece a gray color, as well as this one a gray color, to match the whole color. And I would do that, but the only thing I'm kind of concerned about is I'm wondering if this piece here is just a filler piece for now, and that later on you are going to end up putting a light in here, because when you're done installing these lights, there's going to be one LED left that doesn't go anywhere. It's supposed to go in somewhere else later. So I'm wondering if that's a filler piece and you're supposed to put the light in there later on for some reason, because it's odd to me that they would only have one side lit up. So just in case these do both light up at the end, I'm not going to paint them because I don't want to regret that later. And then also, when I'm finally at the point where I'm going to be sealing up the saucer, if it turns out that that one does in fact stay dark, then I'll go ahead and pull the light out of this one, and I'll just keep them both dark. So for now, I'm just going to build it the way the instructions tell you to. All right, so the next step is to take this piece and this clear flush vent and put it right in here. Now there's a nub right there where the wires are going to go in between. So we're going to use the wires that are labeled B, and we're going to use the black and yellow LED here. So we just put that in between that nub, the wires anyway. Okay, and try to keep that LED straight, because you got to put on the next part. So the next piece is this part, and it's a little little bracket kind of fits on here. Got to match it up with that hole. Got to make sure that LED stays in place, which it looks like it is right where it needs to be. All right, and I think we're going to use some CM screws to hold that on, because we're actually screwing that into metal. So I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so that's what that looks like. It just has one screw holding it in. So on the other side, like I was showing you, there's this black flush vent piece that goes in here, like that. And then once again, there's another bracket here. It's going to go on here with the possibly mysterious LED, maybe. I'm not sure. So we'll line that up. And then this takes another CM screw to hold that in. All right, so there that is. And I don't know, I gotta say, I still kind of wonder if this is a temporary piece, because on this side, there's actually two holes where you can tell screws are gonna go in there later. But on this side, they just have some pins that are filling in those holes. And it just kind of feels like, see there, you can see those pins. It just doesn't feel like that piece is going to stay there. That's just my hunch. So, yeah, anyway. All right, well, we're on to the next step now. All right, so the next step now is we're going to be inserting these windows in. And I really like that they're not going to have every window lit. In reality, not every window would be lit on a spaceship. And on the Enterprise, I think they tried to actually black out the windows that were actually blacked out on the original filming model. But that's really cool. So I have heard people saying that there were some light leaks with some of these windows. And I think it's because these ones that have the black paint on them, they probably should have covered it around the bottom as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this matte flat black Tamiya paint, and I'm just going to paint just around the bottom section here. You just got to be careful not to paint where the clear ones are, just to help kind of make sure that light doesn't leak through there. I mean, if there is some light leaks on there, I'm really not that concerned about it, but if I can minimize it, that's what I'm going to do. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so these are all painted now and ready to go. So this piece is going to fit right in here. That fits really nice. All right, so now I got to try to put this cover on here, but I also got to try to get these LEDs in here. So let's see if I can try to do this. So this goes on, get this out of the way like this. And this LED, this is the green and yellow wire, has to fit in here. Okay, and then the red and black one go on this side. See if I can just lift this just enough to get it in here. Okay, let's see if I got it now. You want to make sure they're all the way in because otherwise they'll pull out. So it looks like that one's all the way in. And this one here, that looks like that one's all the way in. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to be using some CM screws for this. Okay, so those are now on. And I got to say, you got to put these in kind of tight. I was kind of scared about over tightening them, but if you don't put them in tight enough, these will pull right out. They'll just pull right out of there. So you really got to kind of put these in pretty tight. So that's what it looks like over here. Yeah, those windows look nice. All right, so the next step is, actually we're going to have to leave it on this side because we are going to be putting on this piece right here. So it's some kind of a sensor type of thing. Look at the detail on that. Doesn't that look good? So that's going to go right on this part. Like this. And that snaps right in. All right, and then that's going to take, I think, 4 AP screws to hold that in, so let me get that done. All right, so those screws are now in place, so that looks really good. All right, so now we're going to take the previously built bridge section here, and we're going to take the wires from that and put them through this hole. And put this bridge part on top here. So let's flip this around. All right, lots of wires start to get pretty fiddly. All right, and then you just kind of snap this in place here. There we go. Ooh, that's nice. That looks really good. All right, and I think we're going to use some CM screws to fasten that on, so let me get that done. All right, so it turns out those were actually CP screws that went in there. So that's all fastened together. So the next step is we're going to be putting some lifeboats on the front here. So that's these pieces. They look like regular model pieces on a sprue. So I'm just going to snip these off. Now this is the one thing that I'm probably going to, well, I am going to modify. So people were commenting about the looks of these and how they're kind of bland looking. I was watching the World of Wayne channel here on YouTube. He's way ahead of me on this model. But he was talking about how these look like they're upside down, like maybe this red part's supposed to be up at the top or something. And also there's supposed to be some text on here. So he mentioned a website called Mike Lane Mods, and I'm going to go ahead and, or I already did, I bought some vinyl stickers for these. He's got some rub-on transfers that you can put on these, and he's also got some vinyl stickers. The rub-on transfers are kind of a hassle because you have to kind of rub them with like a dull end of something, and if you don't put them on straight, I don't know if you can get them back off. At least with the sticker, you can kind of rearrange it until you get it on there right. So I have those coming, and I'm going to change the look of these to look a little better. And they're actually numbered 0 through 500, and you don't have to worry about numbering them because it didn't make any sense on the ship. The actual models, sometimes they'd repeat the same numbers, so you don't have to put them in any kind of order. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and put these in, and then I'll put the stickers on later. So I'll show you that when I get to that point. Okay, so these lifeboats are very specific the way they go. You'll notice how the holes are in a different position for each of these. So the little lifeboats are actually keyed. And they actually have a tiny, I don't know if I'm gonna, oh, well, you can see there's a little R on there for right. So they have to fit in a very specific way. Let me see if I can get these in. Okay, and I'll kind of fasten these down a little bit better. Let me see, here's the middle one. Try to get them all arranged for the way that they're supposed to go. I might glue them on the back just to make sure they stay in place. Let me see which way this one goes actually. Okay. All right, yeah, they're kind of, they're pretty small and they're pretty fiddly. Try to get that, oh, see, and they pop out easily too, so I'm definitely going to try to glue these in. All right, well, let me get these in and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so now these are all glued. You can see I got a little bit of, I just put some Gorilla Glue on there, some Gorilla Glue gel, and that way they'll stay in place, because they do pop out pretty easy. And the last thing you need is when you're, moving this around later on, that one of those falls out and they're lost forever. So, and you got to make sure they're pushed in pretty far too, because otherwise they're not going to look even with the rest of the hull. All right, so that takes care of stage one. So let's get on to stage two now. Okay, so these are all the parts you're going to get with stage two. So we're going to be building one of the nacelles, or at least part of it. So there is some beautiful pieces going on here. I'm absolutely loving the way these parts look. I mean, they're really pretty stunning. This piece here is another beautifully painted section. See the Aztecing that's done on here? It looks so good. This is another metal piece, so it's pretty heavy. It's got a nice heft to it as well. So yeah, really, really amazing stuff going on here. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is start out with this section here. So this beautiful piece right here, look at this. It's like a really nice amber colored piece. I absolutely love that. So this is going to go up here on the front. Now, the thing about this piece is people have been mentioning that it should be yellow. And so let me show you a model for an example here. All right, so I'm going to use the Diamond Select Enterprise D as a model here. So you'll notice right here how it's yellow and how they are actually using an amber color there. So some people are actually painting this piece yellow. And I've thought about doing it, but honestly, I have never been a fan of that piece being yellow. In fact, I've always thought it was a really ugly thing to have on there. I mean, why didn't they paint it like a silver or a copper or gold or brass or something metallic instead of that god-awful yellow? And so the fact that this one is kind of that amber or copper color, I kind of like it. In fact, I think the idea here is that the light from the chiller grills and the Bussard collector are supposed to bleed over into this and light that up. And even though that didn't light up in the show, I think it might look better. I mean, I thought about painting it yellow, and I was going to use this stuff here. It's like a Citadel paint, and it's more of like a mustard color. It's not quite so bright. But honestly, I just don't want to put yellow on there. I think even if it's not accurate, if that lights up that copper color or that amber color, I think that might look pretty good. So yeah, I'm not going to do yellow. I've never been a fan of that, and I don't know why the model builders decided to do it. I mean, it doesn't go with any other part of the ship. It just kind of stands out and it looks really ugly. So yeah, I'm definitely going with what they have here. Okay, so speaking of this piece, it actually fits on a specific way. So you'll notice how these have got angles to it going in this direction. So when you put this on, they want you to make sure that these angle in this direction towards the front of the engine. So this is going to fit right on here like this. And then we also have this clear lens, and it looks like, I think this fits specifically one way too, but it's going to go right here in the middle. So I'm pretty sure this piece is going to light up, but boy, that fits really nice right in there. Okay. All right, the next part is this tiny little light. This is going to stick up on the back. Now, I know there's been some people saying that this is supposed to be clear on the model and not blue, and I think that's true. It is supposed to be clear or white, but you know what? I don't care about all that. I'm just not going to nitpick at this whole thing. It's like they said, this is a mixture of three different models, so not everything's going to be completely right. Now, this fits a certain way. You'll notice how it's flat on one side right there. So you got to make sure that that flat part fits in there like this. And it just rests like that. All right, and then we're going to lock that in with the next step. All right, so the next step now is we're going to be using this piece. It's a really cool framework that goes on the inside here. And then this is going to fit right in here. Just like that. Oh gosh, everything fits so good. This is such a well-engineered kit. I love it. And then we're going to be fastening those in with, I think, 9 of these, the AM screws, so these are new. All right, so let me get those put in. All right, so those are now all in place right there. And I was talking about how well engineered this kit is, and then I had this screw just break on me. Yeah, I was just screwing it in, and so you can see, let's see, where is it? It's right there. It's actually broken half. It's crazy. So I actually have a couple more AM screws as spares, but I don't know if I'm going to need them in the future, and I don't want it to be a crucial point that I need that screw and not have one. So I just put a little Gorilla Glue in there, and I'll just make sure that this is pushed down all the way so that it stays in place, because all the other screws are in there. There's 8 other screws holding that in. So Yeah, it's kind of a one of those things that kind of happens. All right, so let's get on to the next point. Okay, so the next step is we're going to be putting this piece on. So this is the front of the nacelle. Once again, really nicely painted, as you can see here. When the light hits it, a little bit of that teal coloring on there. And this is metal. And that's going to go right on here with those holes. And then that has 3 BM screws to hold that on. So let me get those put on. Okay, next we're going to be putting on the chiller grills. And look at how good these look. This beautiful blue color on these is just fantastic. So one thing I was noticing is people were saying that when the engines are off on the Enterprise, that these are actually a copper color. And then when they're on, they're blue. And so some people are actually painting these parts with copper on it, and then they put it on light enough that the light will still shine through and show a blue tint. But I am definitely not going to paint these. I mean, I never knew that they were copper when the engines were off. I always thought they were blue whether the engines were on or off. And the other thing is, I've noticed that people painting these, the lights are much more dim because now you got that copper color on there. And I want the engines to look nice and bright. Plus, you're going to have to make sure that you paint each one of these exactly the same. And there's another piece that goes on the back that's blue. So that's 3 pieces you need to make sure you put the exact same amount of copper on. Otherwise, you're going to have maybe this one too dark and this one's light and this one's even lighter still. And then you got another engine that's got 3 more. So now you got 6 pieces that you're going to have to make sure are painted exactly correct. So yeah, I'm not going to mess with that. I'm not going to, complicate simplicity here. I just want to build this thing. So these are going to fit in here like this. And these are going to use, I think, 4 AP screws on both sides. Okay, so these are now on. Those went in very nicely. And now the last piece is this blue curved part that goes back here. And that's going to complete the look of the chiller grills all the way around. So those are 2 more AP screws to get that on there. All right, well, there we go. That completes stages 1 and 2 of the Enterprise build, and it's already looking absolutely awesome. I am loving this. I'm glad I went ahead and left that amber. I think that looks really cool. Way better than the yellow that they have on that model. I don't know why they do that, but yeah, and this piece is all done now, electronics. And the only part that was left over was the Bussard collector, which this is going to go on at a later stage. I'm not sure when, but man, that's going to look good too. Yeah, these parts are just amazing. So yeah, the next parts should be coming in about a month. I should have stages 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'll have 4 of them to do then. So that'll be fun. So yeah, keep on watching this series if you'd like. I'm going to label them all the same or title the videos the same. It'll just be part 2, part 3, and so on. And I'm also doing the R2D2 fan home build as well. And I just started that one. That's also part 1. So if you enjoy this, please give it a like and subscribe. Hit the bell so that you'll know when the next video comes up. And anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. So thanks again, and have a good one.